All right. So I've had this thumbnail made for a while, and I've been adding to my list. I've actually made a list. I don't normally make lists. I don't script anything as I do my stuff, and there'll probably be things that I'll bring in that I probably haven't listed down in regards to this. But this is what I would consider my perfect Mortal Kombat for me. As someone that has played MK since the extreme beginning, this is what I would hope for in a new MK moving forward, right? So let's begin. Let's jump right into this, because I want to show a couple of things as well. Obviously, I've got some MK Trilogy, which was the first Mortal Kombat game which had every character up to that point in the game, including boss characters, which was pretty nice, right? It was a nice touch, and that sort of stuck in my mind, and that way, you know, it sort of led to this point where I am now, right? Which is every single character that has been conceived in a Mortal Kombat game should be made available to be playable. Straight up. We are due for our MK Trilogy / MK Armageddon 2.0. We deserve to have every single character playable, right? And the reason why I say that is because every single character is a favorite to someone. So if you cover all bases and you make every single character in the game made available, then nobody is left out either. Okay, which is really good. I'd also like to see the return of really fantastic character select screens as well. It seems like over time they've just become this very bland sort of affair. I really want to see that when you click arcade, you get this really cool animation going into and then coming back out of the character select screen, so that way it gets you in the mood. And when you get hit with that, you know, the entire character select screen, you're like, wow, who's that? Is that, you know, and you'll know who they are because they're obviously MK characters, right? But obviously they'll be updated in terms of like their avatar picture, and you'll just go from there. Like you'll go, ooh, that's really cool, right? That's what I'd like to have happen, right? I really would. Now, just quickly, just to add on to this, just while we've got the towers showing, just something I picked up while playing Grand Blue Fantasy versus Rising. I'd also like it that the AI, like when you select, after you've selected your character, right? And we've had this with other games, I think, in the past as well. When you go to the tower, I wouldn't mind a selection of characters per level that you can choose between fighting, right? You could have one tower, like we did in MK1, in MK2. MK3 introduced multiple towers, but I'd love to see just a singular tower, but you could either choose a random select each level, right? So you can scroll left or right, you can click on the question mark, it will randomly choose a character to fight, or there'll be preset characters you can choose from that you can fight against. And you do that for every level, however many levels they decide, and then, you know, you get to the top. Now you could have, now I know, like, I guess we could include different towers as well, I suppose, because they're different degrees of difficulty in terms of the amount of characters that you do fight, so the amount of levels that you have. I do like endurance matches. I'd like them to come back, of course. I'd also like a proper mirror match to come back right before the endurance match. An actual proper mirror match of that character, right before, the endurance matches start, right? So you go through all the other characters and then you get to that. So that way, depending on which tower, the amount of levels that you choose, or maybe you do get to choose, it is just one tower, but right before you select it, it goes, do you want 5 levels, 6 levels, 7 levels, 8 levels, 9 levels, 10 levels, right? You get to choose that. every single time, right? So then it's still one tower, and then that tower modifies depending on how many levels that you've chosen. As far as like character interactables go, when it comes to like them walking out, I don't care so much for them having a back and forth conversation in a fight. If we're gonna go down that road of you know, like you know, they came out and said, oh, well, we can't have women showing up in bikinis to a fight. Well, it feels very weird and unnatural for them to just walk out and just say dumb stuff to each other, unless there is some sort of like actual rivalry. I think it would be best to go back to characters having multiple things that they say that aren't like related to the character that they're facing, right? I think that would be best. Like Katana from MK9, she walks out and she's like, oh, you will learn respect, you know. So you can have multiple voice lines that character would say, and it doesn't matter who they're facing, right? It's quick, it's character related, it's lore related to the character, and it doesn't matter who they're fighting. It becomes, there's too much work involved in going, oh, we got to make sure that this character reacts to this, because what I see there is I see a blown budget. I see a waste of time. I don't mind them walking out and saying something, you know, I think that's cool. Even nothing, they might walk out and just like Scorpion, just set themselves on fire and that's it. You get multiple ones of those. You could obviously have them unlocked in a character progression thing for each character. And adding on to that, yes, the character progression thing should return. We should have from MK1, except done like Grand Blue. So in Grand Blue Fantasy vs Rising, like in MK1, every single character has their own unlock path. But in Grand Blue Fantasy vs Rising, especially when you play online, you actually get tons of experience. You get tons of things like in-game currency, different skin colors, all that sort of jazz. Now, the other thing I'd like to have come back for the characters is outfits only. Just outfits only. I don't want, you know, the ability to fight against a pink Scorpion while I'm using a purple Sub-Zero. It's weird, it's stupid, it feels extremely alien, and it doesn't fit to the theme of Mortal Kombat. Get rid of it, it's dumb. I don't want that in my Mortal Kombat, right? And again, this is what it is. So I think somebody asked me a while ago, what would I have in a Mortal Kombat game? Well, this is what I would have, right? All the characters, making sure too that we are only having just outfits, but bringing outfits back accurately from every single previous game that has existed for Mortal Kombat, so that way, you know, you can you can enjoy those games with those classic outfits however you like. I think that'd be perfect. I think that would be absolutely perfect in regards to you know, keeping a legacy, right? And legacy is very important when it comes to me with Mortal Kombat. I do not want to see you know, every single game have some brand new gimmick that completely undermines everything in the game. So, you know, we have to relearn everything all again. Like, it's absolutely just rubbish. This is rubbish, right? So, so I would like to see every single classic outfit come back, right? So if you want the classic Li Mei outfit coming back, it comes back like classic Li Mei, right? None of this, you know, reworked for modern audiences, all 3 people on Twitter. You know, we need the proper outfits to come back, and you can make as many outfits as you want. I don't care if you want to sell them in the store, but at the very least, bake some of these, if not most of them, into the character mastery reward track for each character, so that way you can unlock, you know, the different outfits for them. And it sticks to the theme of the character, right? You're never going to see, like, I don't care if you make different variations of, say, like Scorpion, right? So if you choose Scorpion, yeah, okay, and Scorpion, like, he's obviously going to be yellow and black, so you can make some variations to that, but it still sticks to the same colored theme of Scorpion, right? Whether he's got his mask on or he doesn't, like, stick it to the theme. It's one of the things I actually did like about with the outfits, not only in MK9 but also MK10. It felt like they actually stuck to the themes in general for the characters, and I think that's very important. I don't need character customization on Mortal Kombat characters. What I do want though, in Mortal Kombat, since they've already done it all the way back in Armageddon, is to bring back their creator fighter mode. They have proven now, with the amount of content and gear pieces that they can do, to take all of that, like they have done with Soul Calibur 6, and make your own custom fighters. Plural. Not just one, but many, you know, as many as you like. You can set everything from the appearance to the fighting style, to the weapon style, the special moves, and you can even include their biography, and as well you've got extras, including like changing the voice and stuff like that, right? You can do all of that in the game. I think that'd be great. Okay, I think that'd be really, really cool. The fact that, like, you know, remember I called that the GIMP style. That's great, man. Right. Weapon styles. Right. Did I call you? Yeah, I'm not saying that. Right. Anyway, so you can go through, and since all the character like styles exist in the game, like their stances, right? So if you want Scorpion stance, you know, Sub-Zero stance, right? Reptile stance, you know, you can choose the stance, you know, and then you can, you know, create your own. You can go, okay, well, I'm gonna have this special move, this special move, this special move together, and I think that'd be pretty awesome. I think that'd be really, really cool. So that way, you can take that custom character online. You can either take them into normal casual modes, maybe ranked mode, I don't know, maybe have different ranked modes that include that perhaps, you know, because they're a little bit broken, maybe. But also you could have, what do you call it? You know, you have like a creator fighter custom area, right? Like its own fight club, if you will. So that way people, people just can go absolutely nuts and just fight other creator fighters and just go crazy. I think that'd be really good. So definitely every character needs to return. We need to have every outfit that's ever been made available for those characters done properly and explicitly to how they were previous. Take all the customization gear over into the creator fighter mode, which means there's endless amount of fighters that you can not only create but also share, like in Soul Calibur 6. So I think that'd be really, really cool as well. This is going to be a long video. So yeah, I think that'd be pretty awesome. One of the other things too is that so let's just choose. We'll choose Katana. Right, there we go. So let's talk about stages. Every stage that's ever been a Mortal Kombat stage needs to come back. Now, when we're talking here, we are of course talking in 2D. We are talking in standard 2D fighting. We're not actually talking in proper 3D movement. I never liked when Ed Boon went to that. Even though I can appreciate that these games are more Mortal Kombat in feel than they are now, I actually do prefer the 2D style going all the way back, but we're going to get more into that. However, I did think about some variations in terms of how do you bring back some of these stages that were made in 3D and make them in 2D, right? Which I think would be pretty cool. So yes, every stage needs to come back. Every stage needs to have a stage fatality, right? And I wouldn't be against every single stage having an instant stage fatality and stage transitions as well, like we used to with the uppercuts and stuff like that. How would you make it work? It's very simple. It's very simple. You look at other games like Tekken 8 and other games that have done it in the past as well. Right? You basically have like walled sections at the end of your stage. Okay, so you're smashing against something. That's one thing. You smash them against it a couple of times, they'll smash through and you can go through to a next portion of that stage. Right? So imagine, if you will, in the living forest, you've got like a couple of trees at the end, but they're not big trees, right? Or maybe like one of them looks like it's semi-broken. You smash them against it, right? And it cracks further, and then you smash it against it again, and it smashes all the way through. The tree falls over the rest of it, and then you follow after them into like the next part of the living forest. That would be pretty cool. The same thing works with the interactables that we had, if you think of MK11 and MK10, which came in from Injustice, where I don't care so much about picking up stuff. I don't really like that idea of picking up stuff in the game and throwing it at someone. I didn't really care for it, even in MK4. I prefer it just to be about the combat. However, certain parts of the stage in the background, you can actually interact with it. So for example, there might be a gate, yeah? And behind that gate is like a 20-foot drop onto like spikes, okay? So what you do is that you grab, like when you're near that person, right, you can actually grab them and then like smash them into the gate once, right? And that's the first crack. If you can get them again, and this is where the instant death traps come in, you can then, when you grab them, you can smash them through the gate again, or into the gate, and then the gate breaks, they fly through, instant death trap. Now that's one of the things I do actually like about what they brought in with the 3D era, was the fact that you could actually transition to different stages with the yellow marker, or actually with the red marker on the stage, you could actually do an instant kill. That is the theme of Mortal Kombat. That is 100% the theme of Mortal Kombat. It takes it to the next level of making not only the character that you're fighting dangerous to fight against and what they could possibly do to you, but also taking the stage and making it dangerous. There's a stage that they brought in Deception where you're fighting on top of this like big like rock spire, and over time the stage like crumbles and gets less and gets less and gets less. That sort of stuff would be amazing. Absolutely amazing. And you could do things like that where, you know, like you might kick them and it might look like they might go off, right? And that's like the first stage. They might sort of like stagger back and sort of like, whoa, you know, and then they'll come back again, right? And the game remembers that they've had their one chance. And then you do it again and it's all over. It's all over, okay? So, and don't worry, we're going to get into defensive options and all things around that. But that would change not only, and I'd also like a lot of day and night transitions as well too. So when you go from like stage 1 in the courtyard, where you got all like the monks watching and Shang Tsung in the background watching you fight, and then the next stage you might transition to evening. Then if you go to a third stage, it's nighttime, and then depending on each transitional stage, you might actually have, you know, like certain things happening in the background, like maybe some of the monks are falling asleep, you know, or Shang Tsung is getting irate, you know, because it's been going on all this time for this one single fight, and he's sort of leaning forward on his chair and slamming the side of his throne, you know, pointing, you know, and he'll say things randomly like going, finish him, you know, because he's trying to hurry them up, right? That sort of stuff would be very cool. It turns the stages into a character themselves, which would be awesome. The other thing that we need to add to the stages as well is the fact we need to make the music completely identified with the stage. When we load up the Living Forest from MK2, when we load up the Palace Gates from MK1, we remember the music track. I even remember the Mega Drive music tracks from MK1 when it first came out, because it was completely different. They actually redid the music, which was crazy, right? So I've got 2 sound effects from the original game that go through my head. And they all identify with the stage, right? If you play something like Killer Instinct, everything from as soon as the game loads up, everything from the menu, the sound effects, the music, it's all getting you pumped up. It's all getting you in the mood. Not this passive crap in the latest MK game where it feels like I'm in a massage parlor, you know, like, you know, all this dumb shit. No, I want to be pumped. I want to get into combat, get me in the mood, and every single stage should get you in the mood, so that way it's like, wow, this music is the stage, and you cannot separate the two after that. That's what made, especially what Dan Forden did back in the day. I don't know if Dan's still on the team, but his iconic music, and it's the same with other fighting games that came back then as well. Like the music really set the stage, literally. Okay, and it was amazing, absolutely amazing. And then of course, if you do stage interactions, like I said, smashing someone into a gate on the first crack, the music might change slightly to increase the amount of anxiety and fear. It's like, oh, hang on, I got to be careful now. I have to be careful now. What if, you know, like, what if this does happen? I could die and I've still got half my health left. What can happen, right? Everything I'm talking about here is designed for fun. This is not designed for competitive play. This is designed for fun. And of course, if you do decide to do competitive play, you could actually run tournaments. You could turn all of this stuff off, right? So we don't want stuff being thrown at each other. We just want the stages to be interactable, okay? That's all I want. That'd be great. Even like, so for example, you could think of like the Living Forest, right? You could, the first interactable could be you grab them, you know, and you smash, like you throw them at one of the trees, you know, and like the tree might catch them in their mouth and spit them out on the first one, right? Because they're annoyed. It's like, what are you doing in my, you know, get out of my mouth, right? And that'd be funny. That'd be funny. And then that tree looks a little bit more angry. And so if you do it again, right, then it does that. And these are separate to the stage fatality. So every single character, every single stage has their own stage fatality separate as well. Right, the Living Forest stage. If anyone's seen Lord of the Rings, the Two Towers, the extended edition, we got the Huron trees that come in at the end when the orcs are fleeing. What is it called? I can't think of the name. You know, anyway, you know, where the battle of that great fortress and they've won, they overpowered. Gandalf's come down the hill and defeated everyone, right? Helm's Deep, right? And the orcs are running away into the forest thinking they're safe, and the trees like start attacking them. So you could do something similar like that, right? Where you actually have, you know, the trees, like the stage fatalities, you knock them into the background and they think they're safe and they just start to walk away, and a vine comes out and grabs their leg and tears it off, you know, and another tree like comes out and smashes their arm off and things like that. It can be really brutal and relevant to the stage. Like the combat tomb in MK2, you know, you can actually like throw them over the balcony in the background and a dragon comes and flies in and like swallows them whole, or grabs them, throws them up in the air, burns them, and then like chomps them in half. The amount of imagination that you can go into with this stuff would be phenomenal. And you create this incredible like memories and going, oh my God, I want to do that. I want to be able to do that. Which is one of the other things I want to talk about, which is the fatalities and the brutalities in this game, and the fact that we don't have any of the other special moves like finishing moves coming back. So I've been saying this for a while, forever actually. I don't like brutalities, not the way they're done. I don't like that. Oh, you get them in the instant last hit and they just explode. No, I never like that. To me, that's not Mortal Kombat. Okay, I know it is for the people that grew up with that sort of stuff. But going all the way back, that's not what brutalities were. Brutalities were introduced in MK Trilogy, and a brutality was you doing, I think it's a 10 or 11 hit combo to start the brutality, right? So Scorpions was like, what was it? High punch, low punch, block, high kick, low kick, high kick, right? And then what that would do is it would start this sequence. So when it said finish him, you'd walk up and you go bang, 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 bang. And if you remembered that, your character would go into this auto combo. They explode everywhere, and that was the brutality. You take that concept and you make it you make that the modern day brutality, right? You have to remember the sequence when it says finish him. If you get the sequence correct, you go onto this gigantic cinematic multi-path of your choice brutality, right? All thematic to the character that you're using, right? So let's use Scorpion as example. Finish him, walk up, you start doing the sequence, right? And then it pops up going, it might even come up, something like choose your destiny, you know, or whatever, right? And you can either choose like between like pressing like X, A, B, whatever. And then one path would be Scorpion, you know, he pulls out his swords and he starts like cutting you up, you know, that's one path, you know, and you can go from there. The other path might be he grabs you, takes you down to the Nether Realm, like chains you up, burns you, all these demons run up and start like clawing at you and stuff like that. And the other path could be, you know, he takes you all the way back to maybe like the Shirai Ryu times and how they used to deal with like traitors or infiltrators in back in the day, and they've got the traditional guard ninjas, and they might have it that you're standing there and they start like throwing all these like ninja weapons at you to kill you or whatever. That's a brutality. You are literally brutalizing your opponent, like ultimately. The brutalities in the modern games should be the standard fatalities. Quick, sharp, pow! Like, that's just it. Rip out the spine with the head. You know, rip into the, like, punch into the chest and rip out the heart. That should be quick, but it's shocking, right? Pulling off the leg like Quan Chi, ripping the leg off and going bang, 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 right? That's that stuff. We don't need to try and get it on the last hit, like it's some sort of stupid, like, not stupid, but you know, like what they do with doing the ultra combos for Killer Instinct, where if you nail like this, like the sort of like the precursor for doing the ultra combo in Killer Instinct, it would then, you know, go on from there. We don't need that in Mortal Kombat. Part of it was like you beat them, they're staggering around, finish them. You could either do your fatalities, your stage fatalities. Please bring back things like friendships, babalities. They were all really fun. I don't know if bringing back harakiri would be a good idea. I know a lot of people do get sensitive about, and I understand too, about like self sort of sacrifice, that type of thing. However, I would probably bring them back, but do it differently, right? So make it not so much that they take their own life, but they escape, okay? So when the person's trying to do the fatality, they're trying to do the movement to get away from possibly having a fatality done them. And if they're successful, then they actually get to go away. I actually think like Johnny Cage might be like, he'll call an Uber, you know, and then a Lamborghini will roll up. I don't know why it'd be a Uber, whatever, right? And he jumps in and runs away. That would be funny, right? That would be funny, because then it adds a bit of levity to it. So you're trying to kill the other person and they're just basically taking the piss out of you. I think that'd be really, really cool. You could absolutely, you could have so much fun with that. It'd be awesome. And you could even create different ones as well. You know, and you could call it, instead of harakiri, you could call it, I don't know, you could call it something else that sounds cool. In relations to basically just escaping. So you get away from being, you know, destroyed. I think that'd be pretty cool. All right. And again, that just adds a little bit of light humor, takes some fun. As far as like adding to the graphics of this goes, I definitely would be making sure that we have, I don't think we need to have it ultra realistic like we have been. I actually think that they need to lean more into fantasy styled graphics, not realism. Okay? Because I think, because what happens is when you start to become too realistic, then that becomes a major issue. Then the rest of the world has to follow suit. The reason why a lot of the people love these old games is because even though like we did have some real world elements, like things like say fighting on a street and stuff like that, most of the stages in general were fantasy settings. And then the characters were like really overdone and fantasy-like as well. I think we need to go back to that. I think that's why other fighting games are quite successful, because they haven't gone down into that almost uncanny valley of creating these characters and these worlds to look very ultra realistic. And you can still have them, like in Tekken 8, like the story, like, you know, the graphics look amazing, but they don't look real. They don't look like real people. They still have this fantasy setting. You know, all the dude's hairs is always off at some angle, unrealistic, you know, without a lot of tons of hair product and stuff. I think we need to get back to that. I think we really need to get back to that, because, you know, that way they can go nuts, right? Get Mortal Kombat to be like the edgy metal fighting game that we all know and love. I think that's what we need. And so to add on to that, we've got battle damage. I want battle damage to come back in a major way when it comes to Mortal Kombat. Right? We had it in MK9, and now all we get is like sweat and stuff, because obviously they don't want to have battle damage, which means torn clothes, which means, oh, we might see some underboob. Get over it. Nobody cares. Nobody's scared of tits. All right? So battle damage is awesome, because at the end of the fight, even though you won, half your shit's falling off. If anyone played MK9, you know what I'm talking about. It's like, yeah, I won, and you know, half your shit's gone, right? Amazing. Again, that adds to Mortal Kombat. It absolutely adds to what makes Mortal Kombat this like brutal fighting game. So even as a victor, you're still sitting there going, yeah, you know, I'm gonna need some chronic physical therapy and whatnot, right? So there's a lot, you know, of sort of stuff that really adds to the flavor of MK when it comes to that, and I think that's very, very important. And I think it's been lost, you know, for a while. I say, you know, for this path of realism and stuff like that. I think it's not very good. Okay. So I'm just sort of going through everything here. I think we're almost ready to go into possibly the gameplay side of things. We can talk about story, how I do the story first. So when the crypts came out for MK11, I actually thought that what we were getting was I thought they were taking that and making it the invasions mode in MK1. That's what I thought they were actually going to do, right? And I was very disappointed because I thought, I'm just loading the game up while we're still having a discussion, so you got something to visually look at with things as well. The reason why I found that to be disappointing is because I thought that the crypt in MK11, despite the loot boxing side of it, was absolutely epic. It was done extraordinarily well. You actually felt like you're on Shang Tsung's island. There was multiple levels, different nooks and crannies you could explore. And I thought that that would be perfect. And it's basically kind of what, it was like a modern day sort of beta test, if you will, of MK Deception. I don't want a cinematic story mode where you just watch some cutscenes, have a 2-on-2 fight, and that's the end of it. We need to go back and we need to make the story mode in Mortal Kombat an actual story mode with cinematics in between. Okay, so what do I mean by that? Obviously, you load up Conquest, you have an introduction. Okay, your character is a simple NPC. It's not Scorpion or Sub-Zero or anything like that. But what you do, and you borrow this sort of stuff from things like MMOs, where you have a massive open world, you can see other players running around as well. Okay, and those players can't, like, they can't affect your interaction unless you turn on the PvP mode. So imagine playing Conquest either offline by yourself, online in a co-op capacity, in like an MMO where, you know, other players actually can't affect your progress or come up and start wailing on you, or you can enable a section, a toggle where it puts you into PvP mode. So while you're working on a quest, some other dude with a giant ass hammer can run up behind you and just go crack and start fighting, right? I think that'd be pretty cool. And I think that from there, as far as like the storytelling goes, you obviously have your main storyline quest, which takes you through any and all the realms, just like in Deception. You also have your side quests. You could also have a few things that you can have unlockable as well, like very specific to those areas as well, which also includes things that they could add to it, like adding in daily quests that you can do, things that you can do to unlock like very specific stuff that is only available through Conquest. So you've got your great mastery track that you can unlock for characters with good XP gain, that also gains XP as well, no matter what game mode you're playing in, etc., right? Because you could kind of choose, and not to use the word because I can't stand it, but you could, even if you're playing in Conquest mode as your standard NPC, you could have a character that acts as your cameo or acts as your guardian, right? So imagine, if you will, that you can choose a character and it gives you the special moves that that character has. So you're running around as your standard NPC, you've got weapons that you can wield, or you can do fisticuffs, but also, if you choose your guardian as Scorpion, then he also lends you some of these special moves as well, which would be pretty cool, right? So imagine you're running around doing your questing, and over there you can see two other players fighting each other. Someone's throwing freeze balls, the other one's throwing fireballs, and you can instantly go, oh, okay, maybe somebody's got their guardian as Liu Kang, and the other one's got their guardian as Sub-Zero or Frost or something like that. That'd be pretty cool. You can have roaming hordes of Takat warriors running around in certain sections of Outworld. You could go up into like some of the massive like buildings and stuff, depending, or you could go visit like Edenia, because obviously Edenia is part of Outworld, which is what I originally thought it was, almost like having a state within the country. You could go crazy. And then when you get to certain parts of the story, then you get the cinematic, right? So you work up to it. You don't work for it in the story at the moment. You just watch cutscenes fight, watch cutscenes fight, watch cutscenes fight. And the fights aren't that hard, okay? Work for it. Build up stuff. Appease certain requirements to then possibly unlock certain parts of the map. There's a crypt here. Where? Oh, no. You've got to do this, then you've got to do this, then you've got to be here at this time of day, just like in Deception, where you can meditate, and the time would like fast forward, and you could choose when to stop it, so that way you could be ready. There was a chest behind a tent, I think it was an Earth Realm, for a Liu Kang alternate skin, that you had to be there. I could be wrong. I think it was, 2 a.m. in the morning? You had to be there on a certain time, a certain day, and then the chest would appear. Otherwise, it wouldn't be there. We need stuff like that to come back. We need those secrets to come back. That would be incredible. So having a guardian system like that would also add to the flavor of your characters. Like, yeah, I can run around as this. I'm assuming too, we would obviously have the ability to unlock our own sort of abilities and stuff like that. But I would kind of, I think in some respects, I kind of like to leave it basic. You know, just like you can wield any weapon. You know, obviously you got your punches and kicks, that sort of thing, like standard 3D fighting, that sort of stuff. Lean into it more from MK11's Crypt. But have the Guardian thing. So that way, yeah, you could actually like utilize some of the abilities that your Guardian has granted you that you can use in combat as well, which are on a small timer, so that way you can't be completely abused. But that way, you could either play offline, you can play co-op with other people, see other people running around, or play in a PvP setting. So that way, you could be hiding behind a tree in the living forest, you see someone run past, you run out and just absolutely smash them, you know, and then you're fighting in a 3D style, right? Like in what do you call it? Just like in, you know, MK11, like fighting in that 3D style that doesn't change. Now, you could also have things like you could come across players. Now, this happens in other MMOs like World of Warcraft, where you could go up to a player, you could challenge them to a 1v1 duel, and then it can go into a 2D fight. That'd be pretty awesome. Other players could see that two people are fighting, they could run up, click on them, and spectate the fight. That'd be pretty awesome. I think that'd be pretty cool. Right? You could do so much. You could do so much. And the story could be expansive. You could continue to add story to it. Like I said, daily quests, all sorts of stuff, things that people can unlock. You could, again, create the ecosystem for, you know, like for the actual, for the game itself. You know, so people can run around literally in a Conquest mode for, just adding more to my list, you know, for, you know, meeting new people, and you can make clans. You know, you might have sections. So if we take from Guild Wars 2, there might be certain areas of the map where players can take over, like a camp, and then they have to defend that camp against other players and their groups. That'd be very easy to do because they've been doing that in MMOs for years. Okay, you could really lean into it, and Conquest could be this absolute, just gigantic, mega experience in on itself. You may never even play anything else in the game. You could just invest everything into Conquest, unlock gear for your character, craft gear for your character. So that way you just look more and more. You might be able to craft some specific like Shirai Ryu gear for your character. And in that mode, I don't care about the gear, because your actual character, you can identify in terms of like how you want to look any way you like. So you could take all the creator fighter gear for the character that you can use online, offline. You also make it available, and actually, you know what? That's perfect. All the creator fighter gear could be unlocked in Conquest. There we go, I just figured it out. The Conquest mode is the mode that you use to unlock all the gear. Like all the creator fighter gear, right? So that way you can use that stuff for your character online. It means if you take that creator fighter online and somebody goes, holy shit, how did you get that chest piece? They go, oh, well, you know, it's over here at 2 a.m. in the morning behind the tent. Wait on Wednesday, and you'll get this particular piece. That would be amazing. And you could continually add gear constantly to the game. No microtransactions though. In-game currency, one in-game currency, that's it. Make it rewarding, don't make it pitiful. You know, be generous, because then people feel like they don't have to grind. They don't want to play a game where it feels like a second job. You've already got enough content in the game so far from what I've talked about to be able to keep you entertained. Okay? So, that is the story mode. That would be the story mode for me. 100%, right? Every single character has their own ending, right? If you will, like, so you got your standard arcade mode. If you wanted to, I don't know, I'm sort of in two camps about this. You could make it so that way, you know, just like what we have in like Tekken, you choose a character, it's very specific to the character. There's like a little short story. They get their intro and then they get their outro ending. So they're, you know, prologue and epilogue as well. If you finish the tower, you know, you then get, you know, maybe it's a different ending. Maybe it's a standard ending for Scorpion, but when you do his actual dedicated Scorpion storyline, then that gives you a far deeper, more enhanced version. So we can end up with 2 stories per character. A standard brief one, or then a far more in-depth one, which is told through the course of like a mini storyline like what we experience with Tekken games, right? I think that'd be pretty cool. I know I'm probably missing stuff or whatever, but anyway, let's continue. So let's talk about the gameplay. We're 39 minutes in, we haven't even talked about the gameplay. Definitely, a little bit. Definitely 2D, right? Definitely lean more into the fantasy of the characters so they don't become ultra realistic. Like in MK9, for example, they definitely are still very much fantasy styled characters. They're not trying to go for a realistic style here. So absolutely lean in with that. Now, as far as gameplay goes, get rid of the ridiculous notion of being able to do your combo when you're not touching someone. I hate it. I never liked it. You can do that in Tekken. You can do it in Virtua Fighter. You can do it in things like Dead or Alive. I think you can in Dead or Alive. That's their business. Okay? Don't put it in Mortal Kombat. We had a large chunk of the original legacy of Mortal Kombat not doing that. Now, when I say combos, what I mean is the preset dial combo. So when you look into the move list and it goes, you know, press like 1, 1, 2, 3, right? That's what I'm talking about. In traditional Mortal Kombat, when they brought in the dialer combos with MK3, they were tied to a run meter, which means you couldn't abuse it. Okay? It was very specific. Now, forgetting what the only pros will say, obviously people out there are going to figure out ways to get around things. But this kept things in check. You couldn't just sit there and combo someone till eternity. You couldn't pin them into a corner, things like that. Even the traditional games, we had things like where, you know, if you tried to like pin someone into a corner and they were blocking, sometimes it would push them out, you know, that sort of thing. So it actually, the game itself would force a mechanic for you to be fair. So definitely bring back the run meter, right? It was a popular mechanic. It transcended all the way till MK Gold, which I thought was great. Bring it back. Absolutely bring it back. Now, as far as legacy goes, we need to keep the legacy. Quarter circle forward, low punch. Yes, I want to bring back high punch, high kick, low punch, low kick. Absolutely. Again, that's part of Mortal Kombat's legacy. Bring that back. Quarter circle forward, low punch is Sub-Zero's freeze every single game. Back, low punch. Scorpion's spear every single game. Quarter circle back, high punch. Scorpion's teleport every single game. Every single game. This is what Mortal Kombat has lost. They have lost legacy that they actually had a foundation on all the way up and through to the end of Mortal Kombat Gold. Legacy is important. It means that people that played MK2 back in the day could pick up a modern MK game now and go, oh, I remember how to do this special move because, yeah, this is Scorpion. Yeah, I know how to do that. We just got to figure out the rest. What's new in the game on top of the legacy that's already there? That's what needs to come back. So no doing combos without touching the person. When you start doing the combo touching the person, if you're blocking the combo, you block it all. Again, something else I didn't like in the introduction with Mortal Kombat games is the fact that outside of a sweep kick, you couldn't get hit by low. So for example, with Liu Kang's, I think it's a 7-hitter in MK3, where he kind of like, I think he does like some elbows, and then he goes like bang, 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 right, with his kicks. Even if you're standard blocking, you're blocking everything. You have blocked the first hit, you're blocking everything. It happens with most fighting games. It happens in Grand Blue, except for if you on the third hit. So if you wanted to make an exception here, in Grand Blue on the third hit, if you're blocking high, you can block the overhead. If you're blocking low, you can't. If you're standing blocking if you're standing blocking the third hit and they do the low, then it knocks you on your ass, right? It doesn't open you up for the combo. It simply knocks you on your ass. So I still would prefer that if you're blocking everything, you're blocking everything outside of a sweep. Outside of a sweep kick. A sweep kick, standing blocking takes you out, right? So again, it might be very basic, but it's legacy. This is what Mortal Kombat used to be like. And this is what made Mortal Kombat fun and enjoyable for a lot of people because of that legacy, right? And that's in the gameplay itself as well. So the run meter comes back. I would do away with the 3 bars. I would bring back what was introduced in Mortal Kombat Trilogy, which is the aggressor mode. The aggressor mode was like the precursor to what we got in MK9, which is this bar that fills up, or the words that filled up, that once aggressor was filled, you can move faster, you had like a shadowy effect, you could do more damage. So what I would do is I would enhance that even further. I would lean into that aggressive style, right? So we have aggressor that fills up, right? Maybe like at certain points you can activate it. and you could, you know, like so maybe like the word itself is split into like 3 sections, right? Each section, and believe me, this will fill up fast. I'm getting to it. So the first section, like obviously you can enhance your special moves as well. We're going to bring that back. We're going to talk about that as well. But then once you fill up aggressor, if you don't activate that and then you start receiving more damage, right, it then starts to roll over into another word, right? So for example, you could have aggressor, you can have enraged, you're going to have insane, you know, and each word, right, or actually, you know, that'd be a really interesting concept as well. Imagine being able to swap between 2. So you could have aggressor, or aggressive, and then you could swap it by pressing, say the run meter, you could double tap it or something like that, and it swaps to a new bar to fill up called enraged, right? So that way you've got 2 there. Okay, maybe you use the aggressive rage, the aggressive side of things. You could use it maybe towards breaking combos, obviously enhancing moves. But then if you're like, you know, no, I'm not going to use that yet. I'm going to swap over to my other word, double tap run. It swaps over. You got enraged. Now, enraged could do a completely different set of things, right? It can enhance your moves in a completely different way. Enraged might actually hurt you a little bit, but it does massive damage output. So you get a little bit of a debuff for a massive payoff. You could do stuff like that. You could get really creative. And the reason why I think of this stuff is that because if they had the legacy in place, then you could have fun with some of these mechanics. Whether they work, whether they don't, where you figure things out, I don't know. I am just thinking about some cool stuff on the fly with some of this stuff as we're doing this video. But I think getting away from the 3 bars and going back to saying like aggressive, you know, and filling that up, you know, and then, you know, and then maybe swapping to like insane and then swapping to like enraged, you know, and all 3 of those things can do completely different things, right? I would have, so as far as like combo breakers, let's lean into, and it's not so much, well, let's put it this way, right? Because we have to be fair. I am fair when it comes to this sort of stuff. If we bring back the run meter, we need to make sure that the run meter is good. Firstly, in order to dash forward, so double tap forward, double tap back, you've got to be holding the run meter. That way we don't intrude on the legacy of, there was like a slight power outage then. Wow, that was interesting. Hopefully, yeah, no, I'm still recording. There we go. It just went flash. So what would happen is that if you've got Scorpion's like back low punch to do his his spear harpoon, right? Then what happens is that with that, it doesn't get messed with in a new game. You can hold down the run button, tap, and you'll dash back. If you're holding the run button and tap forward, you'll dash forward. I think that is very important. That way, we keep the legacy of the original moves. We're also adding the movement abilities that have come in newer games, and that would be great. So the run meter becomes multifunctional, which I think would be really, really awesome. I would also add in talking about block, because we do have standard block, right? And I'm going to get to the combo breakers in a sec, because I'm trying to work out everything in my head, right? You've got standard block, you're blocking everything unless it's a sweep kick, right? If you're blocking and they start their dialer combo, you get to obviously, you know, block everything. I would also argue the fact that making sure that chip damage is decent, like it's not crazy like what we're currently getting at the moment, okay? And this is where you can work into certain things. I would bring in the functionality of Grand Blue Fantasy versus Rising, where if you're holding block, you press back, you can dodge out of the way of certain moves or special moves, or if you hold block and press forward, you could actually like dash past them, either past the character or past the special move that they're thrown or a move that they've done. I think that'd be really awesome. I think that'd be really cool. It turns not only the block button and the run button into different functionality mechanics that work in a very good and defensive manner, right? You don't use the bars that fill up for defense or anything like that. Those bars, get rid of. Just have the word. Lean into Mortal Kombat. Lean into something that identifies with Mortal Kombat. Aggressor or aggressive, enraged, insane. You know, you can have that sort of stuff. Build on top of that, right? Don't have the bars, okay? But you could have sections of it because obviously we want to have enhanced moves, which is something else I'm going to add in a sec. So the combos are limited because of the run meter. If you run forward and then try and do like a 6-hit combo, but that 6-hit combo requires the entire run meter. You can't do the whole combo. Okay? It's putting checks and balances in place. And believe me, everyone has all of these things available to them. Alright? People that think that what I just said about the block button won't work, will load up Grand Blue Fantasy versus Rising. It works 100%. It works 100%. Easily. Okay? Easily, it's very effective, it's not hard to learn, and it really works in the concept of combat. And it does in that game, and they could easily do it in something like this. That's what I do, right? As far as like combo breakers go, I don't know if we need them as such. Maybe that when like the word fills up, whatever combat word it is, fills up, when you hit that peak, you can spend the entire word to like smash them off you. So if they're running in combo, running combo, you know, blah, 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 you can like activate kind of like a self nuke, right? You do like some sort of like powerful knockback attack. It smashes them back, does a bit of damage on them. Obviously your word has been emptied, and then, you know, you've kind of given yourself a breather. Because if we're blocking combos, it doesn't matter whether we're high or low, outside of a sweep kick, then I don't think it matters anymore about needing combo breakers in that particular thing. I don't think we need that at all. We only have combo breakers in it because they introduced Tekken style combos and they were trying to get around it in a lot of juggles and stuff like that. I'd also introduced air blocking as well. I think that'd be great. I think everyone should be able to do an air throw. I think that'd be good as well. It's something that I really love in Grand Blue. I think that'd be great too. I don't think that's a problem at all. So definitely have a lot of these fun things that could really switch things up. So somebody's like, you know, throwing fireballs, you're just dodging out of the way, dashing through them, dodging out of the way, dashing through, you know, stuff like that. I think that'd be pretty cool. I think that'd be very cool. A lot of fun. So yeah, I don't think we need combo breakers if we're going back to that style of mechanic. Again, you could stick the, if you are getting juggled, right, then hopefully we can make the game identify that there are like either big chunks of damage coming off, your aggressor meter fills up even faster, so you can do like a massive push off, right? And so that essentially could be your combo breaker, but ultimately, you know, I don't think it'll be a big issue, but we'll see anyway. Because again, we're talking about 2D gameplay here. We're not talking about combos that can be started anywhere. You know, we're not talking about if you accidentally let go of block, you know, you're done. So I think we need to keep things, keep things, keep it simple, keep it stupid simple, keep it simple stupid, whichever way it is. Less is more, essentially, right? And because everyone has access to everything, I think that's really good, right? So yeah, I was thinking about the bravery system where you got different points. So if you did have something like a combo system in place where you can have like 3 pips every round, you know, or combat skulls or something every round that you can use, or lightning bolts, whatever that you decide to use. If you keep using them, right, every time you use a combo breaker, so if we decided to go down that road, then you'd actually end up taking more damage. You're actually weakening yourself by doing these combo breakers, so that's the offset to it. So if you run out of combo breakers because you've broken the combos, right? And maybe you could break the combos. Maybe when they're doing, maybe if you are caught in a combo or they're wailing on you while you're blocking, you can break them. But if you do, now you're up to 25% extra damage from them on you. Done the second one, now you're up to 50%. Now you're up to 70% because now you've got no combo breakers left. Now you got to watch your ass. You better rely on that run button and that block button to get you out of problems, because now that you're going to be taking way more damage when they hit you. So that could be the offset. That could be the offset to that, okay? So, oh yeah, bring sexy back, obviously. Yeah, bring back hot chicks. That goes into costumes without saying, like 100%. Make the women look attractive. Look at the Japanese developers. They have no problem making the women look hot. 100% do that. 100%. Like, it's not hard to do, right? Don't be afraid. Beauty and big, tough looking Chad dudes sells video games, right? Nobody wants to run around some blue head whale feminist. All right. Now, let's talk about in terms of the online experience. All right. What we're seeing with our Japanese counterparts is them building an ecosystem, so that way, when you're not fighting online, you're still engaged in the game. We've already talked about Conquest. Imagine a Conquest mode online, seeing other players run around on a server, doing their own questing or fighting other people. You know, you're seeing a whole bunch of NPCs across all the realms and all the parts of those realms. That'd be amazing. That's one mode. The online lobby mode, I would be setting up akin to, similar to what we have with Tekken, right? But now there's two, yeah, no, we'll do it this way. What I would do is actually I don't know how I do it because it's kind of different. No, you could do it. There's a couple of schools of thought here, right? You could set it up like Tekken, where like you could have like themed areas, if you will. Like you go over here, it's like all living forest. You go over here, it's like combat tomb. You go over here, it's like the armory. You go over here, it's like the sky temple, that sort of thing. However, I'm not 100% sure I like that. I think what I'd like it to be is probably more like the battle hub from Street Fighter, where it's one big theme. You know, it's like walking into like, do you remember the 90s movie? Right? The 95 movie, Mortal Kombat, and they go into like the area where everyone's sitting down eating. That's what I'd like. You could have like a center ring where you can watch people fight, right? Which would be really cool. You could sign up so that way you're waiting in line and everyone else that's walking around there can watch people fight. You can have multi-levels that you can go up. I think that'd be pretty cool too. So I don't think we need to have it as big like Tekken 8's. I would take Tekken 8's main stage area and do that. Now, obviously, I would have arcade machines naturally everywhere that you can go and do that. Maybe get offshoot rooms that you could do that as well. One thing that I think could possibly work is that two things here. You could set your own theme for your end. So all the arcade machines are in the same place. All the seating's in the same place. The arena's in the same place. But on your end, you go, I don't want it looking like, say, Shang Tsung's throne room. I want it looking like the Netherrealm. Right? You could change it on your end. So all the systems and the pieces are all in place as they should be. Right? It's just a thematic change for your end that you see. So your experience is running around the Netherrealm fighting other players and stuff like that. And of course you can create your own character, just like we have the chibi characters in MK9. We bring in what they've done like in Tekken 8, so you can customize your own character, gives its own identity, it's really cool. And your character could be running around the Netherrealm, but my friend's on his end, on his computer, on his console, he's set the theme of the living forest. Right, so everything's living forest related, which I think would be kind of cool. Otherwise, I would also take that tech, and when you create a room, you're actually creating a room, not just this list. You're actually creating a fully functional fight room with the other characters that can walk around. They can sit down at arcade machines like I've shown in Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, and you can set the theme for your room for any theme of Mortal Kombat. You want it looking like the armory from MK2, set it to the armory of MK2. When everyone comes in there, it's the armory of MK2. And you can even have things like, you know, maybe while people are fighting on the arcade machines in your room, you can actually set it so that you can actually have some PvP in your room while people wait. Meaning that your little chibi characters can go over to like weapon racks, pick up some weapons and bash the crap out of each other for fun. You know, maybe throw a couple of special moves. You know, maybe your chibi characters can have like a couple of special moves that they can equip just for fun. You know, and they can run around and do that as well in the arcade area. They could run around, just throw a freeze ball or a harpoon or a spear and, you know, do Cabal's dash, stuff like that. I think that'd be pretty cool. I think that'd be pretty cool. Also, I would add, every single Mortal Kombat game to ever exist is available in the new game. Right? You can either access from a menu, from a quick launch. There's an actual dedicated room where you go into, and you've got all of them. All of them, right? Now, you have to be careful because you're obviously going to have server size, so different lobby size. If like 100 people went into that room, is there going to be 100 arcade machines available? Well, that's what you do. You do it like in Grand Blue, right? You can set it up so you can just access it from just pressing start and go, yeah, I'm going to look for a fight from MK2, right? There's too many people here. I can't get a machine, but I want to join in, right? So you could do that. You could have machines that you sit around at just by yourself, set yourself to standby, play the game while you then wait for somebody to challenge you who's also searching for a match. Or you have the traditional where you sit down at a machine, one side, and then you are actively playing against each other, and people can spectate as well. You could even, if you wanted to, have different screens that are showcasing. One is for MK2, one's for MK3, one's for MK4, one's for MK Deadly Alliance, you know, and you make it so that all of these games can be viewed in real time. So you could literally sit there, think of it like an Evo. You could sit there and you could just all day, if you wanted to, is watch people fight. You could just sit back and watch the screen. And that's probably another room I'd set up, to be honest. I would set up a cinema area. And that cinema area could be like multiple screens, you know, covering every single classic game that they've added to the game, everything from MK1 all the way up to, I don't know if they could put in MK9 and all that, but say we go all the way up to MK Gold, you get every single screen, you know, and you could see who's playing late, like who's fighting now. And you got them all lined up. Oh, these are MK1 people that are fighting now, MK2, MK3, Ultimate, MK Trilogy, MK4, MK Gold. Amazing. I would also add in, even if you wanted to do it as DLC, the ability to play all the classic MK games from all the other consoles as well. So you could play the Mega Drive version against people. Again, all of this stuff would come from the main menu. You'd have access to this from the main menu as well as inside the lobby. But the lobby itself, you want to create an ecosystem. You could do things like, a roaming crazy Takat warrior is running around the arcade. Find him and defeat him. So because you can do little attacks, everyone be like, where is he, right? And if everyone finds him, it'd be like a really hard boss, you know? He's got his own health bar, and everyone just starts wailing on him. Like getting in there, throwing fireballs, you know, freezers, spears, you know, all that sort of stuff. And then if you defeat him, then you might get a gear piece, or a gear color, or stuff like that. Again, you keep offering loads and loads of ways to access this stuff, and that way people have something constantly to do. Loads of XP gain, whatever mode you play. Doesn't matter if you're fighting someone online, tower, conquest, doesn't matter. All of that stuff gives you XP constantly. So you're constantly leveling up, you're constantly getting rewards, and because every character's got their own, and if you've got every character in the game, then you've always got something to work towards. So, I think I might have mentioned, I don't know if I did, in the Creator Fighter, you should be able to share your characters as well, just like in Soul Calibur 6. You could download characters and share your characters. I think that'd be pretty cool. Get rid of the dodge mechanic. I don't know if we need to, sorry, not the dodge mechanic, the change stance mechanic. Unless, this is the other thing I don't like too much with the modern MK games. There's too much weapon focus within the character itself, right? Normally, like say with Cabal, you know, the only time you bring out his hook swords would generally be in a combo. But now it's starting to become special moves, and that's fine. But I would argue, I mean, if you wanted to, you could turn this change stance button into bringing back a very specific weapon. So Scorpion could pull out his swords. Sub-Zero, actually, you know what? I take it back. I know what my idea is. I take it back. I don't want that. The change stance mode could be essentially a proper assist mode for your character. Right? And it doesn't do anything like, so let me explain it. What we have with the cameo system is dog shit, right? I've made a suggestion, I think, to Diddle about this. What the cameo should have done is applied the cameo's special moves or characteristics to your character, and that's all. For example, Scorpion could apply a burning effect. So even when you're hitting them, you're doing more damage. If they're hitting you, they're taking damage because they're being burnt for the duration of the buff that has been enabled on you. I would turn the change stance thing into a specifically themed assist that is essentially applying buffs directly to your character that is fairly negligible whether you use it or not, in terms of like, oh, if I don't use this buff, I'm dead, right? If you use it, you don't use it, you can still win, but it's just more leaning into the theme of the character. So for example, you get to activate it, you activate it, right? You got to activate it by pressing change stance, okay? By the way, I know like throws is on a button, but you know, pressing, you know, square and X or, you know, A and X together isn't hard, right? We don't need a damn like button for that, right? That's not hard to do. That's why we can do this, okay? So the change stance button would be an assist mode, whatever you want to call it. I don't know, you come up with some thematic thing that would make sense. You activate it, and then what happens is that depending on which direction that you press when you activate it, like for example, Scorpion might have like a demon come out and you know, give him like some sort of like, oh, how would you, I don't know, maybe how would you do it? Maybe okay. All right, here we go. All right, so maybe it turns his skull on fire, right? So it instantly enables skull fire effect. And what that does is that every single special move that he does has a flame effect, right? If you activate it another direction, like an eruption of flames will engulf Scorpion, and that way when he's attacking or when he's being attacked, the opponent is taking like fire damage constantly. You can lean into that stuff, right? It's never a direct attack on the opponent. It's a direct buff on you to enhance you for a limited amount of time. That's what I do with that. And then you make it per character. Like Sub-Zero would be perfect. Sub-Zero, an ice orb would fly out and then morph into a weapon, right? So that weapon would fight along with him for a brief amount of time, right? Only for a brief. It wouldn't be crazy damage. It'd just be like, you know, when he did like, say, like if he did like a you know, like a kick or something like that, the weapon would mimic and do like an additional like percentage of health on top of that. So if you did like a punch, you know, the hammer would, no, that's true. Yeah. So yeah. Okay. So if you did a punch, then the hammer would replace the punch, right? For the brief amount of time. If it was an ice hammer, if you did a kick, the hammer would swing up instead of the kick, and replace that. And then you could change it to, you know, he might be able to have an ice shield on, you know, that sort of thing. Or ice spikes, you know, so like Scorpion. So if you start hitting Sub-Zero and he's got his ice spikes on, you know, even though he's blocking, you're actually taking damage as well. You could be really creative with that. That absolutely leans into the theme and the lore of the character, but you don't make it overpowered. And it's something that like just adds a little bit extra to it if you want it. It's not a staple of the game. It's like tag mode. It's something different. You call it something different. So you'd have standard one-on-one, then you'd have this particular assist mode, then you'd have tag mode. I would also be bringing back all the other game modes that we've ever had in the game. I'd definitely bring back random combat. I would apply random combat to towers. So rather than having specific modifiers already attached, I would make it so that, you know, just like I said in the beginning, when you're choosing a tower, and you could either choose a random select for whatever each level character you fight, or you could scroll through some characters so you can choose one you want to fight against, and then maybe even choose their difficulty. I would do the same with random combat. I would make it so you get to choose however many modifiers you want to have happen, and then either have it per level or just set it for the entire tower. Again, makes it interesting. Bring back Test Your Might, any character you can use against anything. I'm sick and tired. I hate this shit about smashing people's heads. What the fuck is wrong with you? Right? Just make it stuff in the world. Or make it stuff from other realms. Like, you know, you could have like some sort of like, you know, really hardcore specific Chaos Realm ore. You know, that you have to break. Like it's really, really hard. It's like tougher than diamond. I don't like smashing people's head. It just feels off. I don't like it. Just go back more traditional. Test your might, test your sight, test your luck, test your strike, test your balance. You could do that as well. You don't need to have gyroscopic stuff to do that sort of thing. You can easily figure it out. Figure out other game modes. Bring out back all the mini games. Things like chess combat, motor combat, puzzle combat, and then add on to that. You could have like you could essentially do what they did with Grand Blue Fantasy vs Rising with Grand Brews, which is essentially create a Fall Guys mode using your little chibi characters. You can have like blood sport, right? You choose a team, right? You choose a map, and you fight each other to the death. Chibi characters. It'd be amazing. You build everything like that around it. right? You could be fighting on the graveyard stage, you know, one team versus the other team. There's weapons you can pick up. You can activate modifiers, so maybe like a dragon might come in and burn the map. You could go crazy. And you could just keep adding and adding and adding. I wish at one point that they would simply just make Mortal Kombat and then they just keep adding to it. You can upgrade the engine. MMOs do it all the time, right? MMOs will upgrade their engines all the time, okay? They could easily do it with the fighting game. You don't need to have a bookend content here. You can literally just keep adding to it and expanding it, right? As far as like characters go, as far as their special moves go, we've already talked about the combos and other defensive mechanics and stuff like that. Obviously, we have enhanced moves come back. You could tie it in, obviously, to the aggressor meter, that sort of thing. I would add in 10 special moves. I don't know why I did that. 10 special moves per character. Not enhanced. You can enhance those special moves. If you enhance those special moves are actually enhanced. Like Scorpion when he throws out 2 spears. You know, that's what I do. That's enhancing special moves. Not just making them a little bit of extra damage like the dumb shit we get now. Do it properly. That's what I do. Okay? That's what I do, 100%. Right? 10 special moves per character. Amazing. So what you're doing is you have, you got some of your preset combos. You know, just a few. But we lean more back into the special move style of gameplay that we used to have back in the day. Or singular standing moves. Right? Everyone gets the same health. You know, everyone can do the same roundhouse, same sweep, same uppercut. You know, if you want to, you could have pressing back and a punch or forward and a punch. Might do a different style of attack as well. That'd be fine too. But combos have got to be touching the character. They're tied to the run meter, so you can't abuse it. 10 special moves per character. Don't think about balance. Think about fun. Right? Get away from all this bouncing crap either. Get away from pop-ups, right? Keep the combat grounded. Keep it grounded. The only time that you're getting in the air is if somebody's jumping or jumping with an attack. Don't worry about bouncing people off the ground. Again, that's something else I don't like either. That's a Tekken thing, right? Get back to traditional Mortal Kombat. Grounded Mortal Kombat, but with 10 special moves each. You think about how nuts that is, right? Some of these characters you could easily do that for. Easily. And then when you enhance them, amazing. Think of Sub-Zero, right? You got his freeze, you got his slide, you got, and there's probably some moves I can't remember from MK11. You got his freeze, he's got his freeze, his slide, his puddle, his ice clone, his ice shower. I would not make variations on the ice shower, like, you know, back and forth. Oh, you could, I suppose, right? What else has he got? Oh, he's got like that swirly thing that he shoots in MK11. Also like the icicles. I think I said the ice clone. Yeah, you can figure it out from there. Like, just I'm pretty sure I'm missing something. I'm just trying to think. Anyway, yeah, you could just go nuts. 10 special moves every character. I think that'd be crazy. Don't worry about balance. Balance is gay, right? Who gives a shit about balance? Have fun. Have fun, man. Right? That'd be so cool. That'd be so cool, right? Now, as far as like, I think I've covered, almost everything. Obviously the online component we talked about. No rewards in ranked mode, by the way. Get rid of that shit. That's just dumb. We don't need that. Right? Don't need rewards in ranked mode. No other fighting game does it. It's stupid. I'm not talking about titles here either. You know what I'm talking about when I say that, right? Now, if you wanted to have a premium shop in the game, I don't think we should, personally. I don't think we should. But what I do think is that maybe they should just sell it as separate DLC. Just separate, you know? Because when you start doing premium shop, that becomes an issue. But if you did do a premium shop, it's got to be very premium shop only stuff. It has to be very specific, and we buy it with real money. There is no currency that we need to convert to, so you just get that little bit extra. You know, and that little bit extra adds up when you've got 100,000 people buying stuff. You simply have a simple, the skin is $5, I will pay $5. That's it. That's all there is to it. No currency conversion, no changing from one currency to the next. Just a simple transaction. It cannot be purchased in the game anywhere else. There's just nothing like that. We don't need themes either for the seasons, for the online as well. We don't need that shit. It's stupid. Again, that's just another way to create FOMO. We don't need that. The only time I would actually do anything like that would be in the Conquest mode where everyone can partake. It didn't matter whether you were a seasoned player or not, or good at online player or not. Conquest mode could be played by everyone. And you can have themes in there, right? That aren't part of any sort of microtransaction. They just do it. You know, you can have Shao Kahn's, you know, fortress. Christmas time, it's got like snow and shit, and Santa Claus and stuff like that, you know, Krampus or whatever. You can have some fun. Fun. Do you understand? Fun. Right? I'm just making sure. I think I've covered everything. I think I've covered everything that I wanted to cover and then some. I know it's a long video. One thing I've noticed, I think I was talking about earlier with the music, the sound effects. I was playing some Mortal Kombat Classic MK yesterday. Well, I think it was the day before. And when you hit someone, it feels like you're smacking the shit out of them. You know, what we experienced in Tekken 8 used to be the standard in Mortal Kombat. We don't need that soft, spongy feel, whatever the crap they're doing now. We need actual, like, every single attack sounds like a gunshot, sounds like a bone's being broken, that sort of thing. Oh, that's the other thing I want to talk about too. That's the other thing too. Right? Because I didn't address it yet. The fatal blows. The fatal blows. I prefer the X-rays that came in with MK9 and MK10. I preferred how that was done. I would tie that to like some sort of like aggressor mode as well. I wouldn't leave it on the health bar. I'll talk about wake-ups as well. I wouldn't leave that on the health bar because it just feels like a cheap way to come back because it's a lot of damage. I would try and... I don't know, man. I think it was done better when it was part of a resource that you also had to be carefully using for other stuff as well. You know, so much like how in current Mortal Kombat, you know, you either enhance your moves or you hold on to the 3 bars to do a combo breaker. Maybe hanging on to the whole bar or whole aggressive bar or whatever allows you then to do like your X-ray, right? Or fatal blow if you want to call it that. Okay, that's what I do. Because yeah, I don't like it tied to the health bar because it's just an automatic thing that you just get. There's no real sort of work for it. I do prefer that you got to work for it and sort of like resource management a little bit in regards to that. And because you've got all the other defensive mechanics I've already mentioned as well, then it's not such a big deal, right? You've still got ways to get out of things and stuff like that. I would argue you could probably, if you timed it right, dodge out of the way of an X-ray. You know, move out of the way of an X-ray, dodge past it. You know, if you're good enough, but it's got to be perfect timing. Got to be really good timing. Don't care about flawless block. Don't care about up block. You know, that's all just gimmicky crap. You know, scale it back so we don't need those things to deal with problems that they were already created for. Get rid of that shit. Scale it all the way back to 2D style gameplay, 2D simplicity, and just slowly build on that, which is what we have been seeing happen with the Japanese fighting games for decades. They can do it. There's no reason why Mortal Kombat can't do it at all. What's the other thing I was going to talk about? So I talked about the Fatal Blows. Oh yeah, wake-ups. So, every single special move should be perfectly fine for wake-up. Right? I found that in MK9, every character's wake-up, at least for me, felt far more even, Stevens, more powerful than anything I'm experiencing in MK1. Like MK12, right? MK12... You know, like obviously wake-ups, like they're armored, okay, and that's fine. But it feels like even if you armor other ones and they're right on top of you, it doesn't do anything either. So I still think that, you know, we should have... Oh, we can break throws too, by the way. I still think that we should have, you know, the ability that every single special move that you do, whether you want to wake up throwing a spear, even if they block it, right? Even if they block it, you know, it doesn't matter. I would prefer... that every single special move, you know, is a proper wake up that you can use. So that way you got that freedom. You know, you can do whatever you want and have that freedom. Okay? So anyway, I'll leave it there. Let me know what you think. I don't think I've left anything out. I don't think I've left anything out. I think I've covered everything. Yeah, I think I've covered everything. Is what I want in a Mortal Kombat game. And you know what? It's not unreasonable. It's not hard to do. It's not unreasonable. If they bothered to build on their legacy from back in the day and continue forward, then maybe some of the stuff I mentioned might have been included. Maybe some of the stuff you guys think about would be included. I don't know. But I've been playing since the original. My experience is going to be based on that. And considering that there were more of those games made with 2D, with those mechanics, versus the 3D ones, versus the NRS era, then yes, I am absolutely going to lean into those because they were a staple. It didn't matter whether you played the original Mortal Kombat or played MK Trilogy. You knew how to do Scorpion's Spear. You knew how to do Sub-Zero's Freeze. Nothing changed. Everything stayed the same to build legacy. And that's very important. I would go all the way back, even if it pissed people off. That's why I said about including all the old classic games into the game itself. So that way you could still play those games. You could play those games online against other people. You could create rooms that you're only specifically playing MK Deception, Deadly Alliance, Armageddon, MK Gold, online against other people. It's specifically designed room for that stuff. You could do that. But as far as the overall game and to build on it, you need to start again. You need to raise everything to the ground. You need to go all the way back, build from the ground up, and go from there. Now see the stage here with the pit 2, or the pit 3, or whatever they're calling it, right? Just going back to the whole stage transition thing, where you got the thing in the background. Imagine one of the interactions on the stage was that one of them is an instant death, where you throw them over the edge. Like after 2 hits, you break the barrier and you throw them down, right? Or something like that. And then you do a normal stage fatality for that as well. But imagine there's another part where if you grab them, you sort of like, you go to throw them and they stop themselves. And then the computer remembers that the second time when they go to throw them, the computer goes, right, you're stuffed now. You didn't defend against this. And you actually get to throw them onto the other bridge. They get thrown onto the other bridge. It knocks those 2 guys off. And then they jump over. I know it's unrealistic, but who gives a shit, right? They jump over. And then you continue fighting on the back bridge. Sell me Mortal Kombat. I'll fix it. I'll fix it. I'll fix it. You cannot tell me that wouldn't be fun and awesome. You couldn't tell me it wouldn't be fun and awesome. It'd be so cool. Yeah, anyway, I think that's all. Think about all the game modes coming back, like tag. I talked about like the Guardian type mode as well. I think that'd be cool. I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah. And definitely like add some weight to the characters. Like make it feel like they're solid characters. You know, that when they do moves, like even standard moves, there's a commitment to it. There's follow through. There's good inertia. That sort of thing. Yeah, that sort of, yeah, anyway. I'll leave it there. Let me know what you guys think. And yeah, let me know what you guys like or don't like and what you do different. Catch you next time.